What if I told you the most powerful man in America just had the worst week of his entire life? And I mean the absolute worst. We're talking about court losses, his own people turning against him, and even his own wife running away from him on camera. Yeah, you heard that right. Melania Trump literally ran away from an event after being there for less than 3 minutes. Not 3 hours, not 30 minutes, less than 3 minutes. And what happened next? Well, that's what we're about to break down. But here's the thing. What I'm about to tell you is so crazy, so unbelievable, that you might think I'm making it up. I promise you I'm not. Everything you're about to hear actually happened, and it all went down in just 1 week. Now, before we jump into chapter 1, I need you to do something real quick. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now. And if you're already part of the family, smash that like button. Trust me, you're going to want to be here for what's coming, because this story is just getting started. The scandals are piling up, the chaos is spreading, and nobody in that White House knows what to do about it. All right, let's get into it. Chapter 1. The week everything fell apart. So let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're Donald Trump. You wake up Monday morning thinking you're the most powerful person on the planet. You got the big house, the private jets, and people calling you Mr. President everywhere you go. Life is good, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Because this week, everything started crumbling. And I mean everything. First, there were the court cases. Trump lost not one, but multiple legal battles. We're talking about cases involving some serious people. James Comey, the former FBI director that Trump fired, remember him? Well, he just won a case against Trump. And then there's Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, who has been on Trump's case for years now. She got another win too. Now you might be thinking, okay, losing court cases is bad, but it's not the end of the world. And normally you'd be right. But here's where it gets interesting. These losses aren't just about money or some paperwork. These losses are exposing everything. They're pulling back the curtain on all the things Trump has been trying to hide for years. And the timing couldn't be worse. Because while Trump is dealing with all these legal problems, something else is happening. His own team is starting to crack. The MAGA coalition, that group of loyal supporters who would follow Trump anywhere, they're starting to have problems with each other. There are fights breaking out. People are pointing fingers. And when your own people start turning on each other, you know you're in trouble. But wait, it gets even crazier. Because while all this drama is going down, Trump decided to make things worse. Instead of laying low and letting the storm pass, he doubled down. He made threats against members of Congress. We're talking about actual elected officials. Democrats like Ruben Gallego found themselves in Trump's crosshairs. And how did these Democrats respond? Did they back down? Did they get scared and go quiet? Nope. They hit back harder than ever. Gallego went on TV and said something that needs to be heard. He said he trusts the military to do the right thing because they swore an oath to the Constitution, not to Donald Trump. He reminded everyone that Trump won't be around forever. A couple of years and he's gone. But the Constitution? That's forever. This is the kind of pushback we haven't seen enough of. Democrats finally standing up and saying no, saying they don't care what Trump threatens, saying Trump is not a king and this is not a kingdom. Millions of Americans have made that clear in protests all across the country. And if anyone follows Trump's illegal orders, they're going to have to answer for it too. Now you might be wondering, how bad can it really get? Well, stick around for chapter 2, because what happened next involves the whole world watching America embarrass itself on the world stage. Chapter 2, the foreign policy disaster. All right, so we've covered the court losses and the threats against Congress, but now we need to talk about what's happening outside America. Because Trump's foreign policy moves have been, and I'm being generous here, a complete disaster. Let me break this down simply. There's a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. It's been going on for years now. People are dying, cities are being destroyed. The whole world has been trying to figure out how to end it. And Trump came out with what he called a peace plan. Now, when you hear peace plan, you probably think that sounds good, right? Peace is good. Plans are good, put them together and you got something positive. But here's the problem. Trump's peace plan isn't really a peace plan. It's more like a surrender plan. And the craziest part? The talking points in this plan came straight from Russia. Yeah, you heard that right. The President of the United States is using talking points from the country that invaded Ukraine. It's like if someone broke into your neighbor's house, and instead of helping your neighbor, you went over and asked the robber what he wanted, and then told your neighbor to just give it to him. Even Republican senators are speaking out against this. We're talking about people who usually support Trump, no matter what. Senator Rounds, Senator Graham, Senator McConnell, these are not Democrats. These are Republicans saying this plan gives away too much to Russia. And how did the White House respond to all this criticism? They sent out their spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, to try and spin the situation. And let me tell you, watching her try to defend this was painful. She kept saying that both sides are being treated equally. She said the president and his team have been working around the clock with everyone. But here's the thing, actions speak louder than words. And every action from this White House has favored Russia. Every single one. You can say you're being fair all you want, but when every decision you make benefits one side, people notice. The whole world is watching, and they all see what's happening. This foreign policy mess is making America look weak. It's making America look like a country that doesn't stand by its friends, and the embarrassment doesn't stop at the border. It's spreading to everyone connected to this administration, which brings us to something that happened that nobody expected. But I'll save that for Chapter 3, and trust me, you're going to want to hear this one. Chapter 3. The wives are not happy. Okay, so we've talked about the legal problems, we've talked about the foreign policy disaster, but now we need to talk about what's happening inside the houses of the people running this country. Because something weird is going on with the wives. Let's start with J.D. Vance, the vice president. A few weeks ago, there was this video that went viral. Vance was at an event with a woman named Erica Kirk. And the hug they shared was, well, let's just say it was a little too long, a little too close. The kind of hug that makes people look at each other and go, wait, what was that about? Now, I'm not saying anything happened. I'm just saying people noticed. And you know who else probably noticed? Usha Vance, his wife. Because right after that video came out, people started looking at pictures of Usha. And guess what they found? She wasn't wearing her wedding ring. Now maybe that means nothing. Maybe she just forgot to put it on. But when you combine that with the long hug video, people start to wonder. And then there's Melania. Oh, Melania. Where do we even start with her? Because Melania Trump has basically disappeared. She's never at the White House. She doesn't show up to events. When she does show up, she looks like she would rather be anywhere else on the planet. And this week, she proved it in the most obvious way possible. There was an event at the White House. It was for the Christmas tree arrival. You know, a nice tradition where they bring in the big tree and everyone gets excited about the holidays. Melania was supposed to be there to welcome it, and she was there for exactly 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Let me repeat that. 2 minutes and 50 seconds. That's not even enough time to sing one Christmas carol. She walked out, said the tree was beautiful, took a few pictures, and literally ran back inside. Gone. Disappeared. Like she couldn't get away fast enough. And this is funny because Melania has never been shy about how she feels about Christmas. Back in 2020, audio leaked of her complaining about having to do Christmas decorations. You want to know what she said? I'll clean it up a bit. But basically, she said she was working her butt off on Christmas stuff and asked who even cares about Christmas decorations. Now, this is the same political party that spent years talking about the war on Christmas. Remember that? They said Democrats were attacking Christmas. They said Obama was destroying the holiday. And now their own First Lady is on tape saying she doesn't care about it, and she's running away from Christmas events after less than 3 minutes. The irony is so thick, you could spread it on toast. But here's what's really interesting about all this. Melania's disappearing act isn't just about Christmas. Something else is going on, and it involves a name that makes everyone in that White House nervous. That name? Jeffrey Epstein. And what Melania is doing about it will blow your mind. But that's coming up in Chapter 4. Chapter 4. The Epstein Problem. All right, this is where things get really serious. Because everything we've talked about so far, the court losses, the foreign policy mess, the unhappy wives, all of that is bad. But there's something even worse hanging over this whole administration. And that something is Jeffrey Epstein. Now, if you don't know who Jeffrey Epstein was, let me give you the quick version. He was a very rich man who did very bad things to young girls. He was connected to powerful people all over the world. Presidents, princes, billionaires, you name it. He had dirt on everybody. And then he died in jail under very suspicious circumstances. A lot of people still have questions about that. But here's what matters right now. Epstein kept records. He kept photos. He kept track of everyone who came to his parties, flew on his plane, visited his island. And recently, more of these records have been coming out. Names are being released. And some of those names are making people very uncomfortable. Now, where does Melania fit into all this? Well, according to author Michael Wolff, Melania had her own connection to Epstein. He claims they were more than just acquaintances. And how did Melania respond to this? She didn't deny that Trump spent time with Epstein. She just threatened to sue Wolff if he kept talking about her connection to him. Think about that for a second. She didn't say it wasn't true. She just said, stop talking about it, or I'll take you to court. That's a very interesting way to handle things, don't you think? And here's what's driving people crazy. The mainstream media doesn't want to touch this story. CNN had their anchor, Abby Phillip, basically say she was tired of talking about Epstein. Tired of it. This could be one of the biggest scandals in presidential history, and some journalists are tired of covering it. But when a Democrat has any connection to Epstein, suddenly the media wants to talk about it non-stop. Congressman Jamie Raskin had to deal with this double standard in an interview. The host kept pushing him about a Democratic congresswoman who had some contact with Epstein. And Raskin had to remind everyone that Trump himself is an adjudicated sex offender. He was found liable for sexual assault in a New York court. Plus, he has 34 criminal felony convictions. So the guy in the White House right now has been found by a court to have committed sexual assault. He's got dozens of felonies. And some in the media want to focus on a Democrat who made a phone call? The double standard is unbelievable. This Epstein situation isn't going away. More files keep coming out, more names keep getting released, and the people in that White House are terrified of what might come next. The stink of this scandal is spreading to everyone, and some people, like Melania, are doing everything they can to distance themselves from it. But can they really escape? Can anyone in this administration avoid the fallout from what's coming? That's the question everyone should be asking, and the answer might surprise you. Let's finish this story in Chapter 5. Chapter 5. The walls are closing in. So here we are. We've gone through the court losses, the foreign policy disasters, the unhappy spouses, and the Epstein scandal. And now we need to talk about what all of this means. Because something is happening that we haven't seen before. The walls are closing in on Donald Trump from every direction at once. Think about it. In past years, Trump could always wiggle out of trouble. He'd have a scandal one week, and by the next week, everyone forgot about it. He was like some kind of escape artist. Bad news would come out, and somehow he'd survive. His supporters would stay loyal, his critics would get tired, and life would go on. But this time feels different. This time the problems aren't going away. They're piling up. The court cases keep coming, the legal losses keep mounting. His own party members are starting to criticize him publicly. Even Republican senators are speaking out against his plans. And the personal stuff is getting worse too. His wife won't stick around for more than 3 minutes at a time. His vice president's wife might not be wearing her wedding ring. The Christmas spirit is completely dead in that White House. The Epstein situation is like a ticking time bomb. Nobody knows what's going to come out next. But everyone knows something is coming. More names, more photos, more evidence of things that powerful people wanted to keep hidden forever. And here's what's really important. This is what accountability looks like when it finally starts to happen. Donald Trump has been called the luckiest man in America. He's failed at businesses and walked away rich. He's lost court cases and faced no real consequences. He's done things that would destroy any other politician and somehow kept going. But luck runs out eventually. It always does. And watching this all unfold, you can see the cracks forming. You can see the foundation shaking. The people around him are scared. Some are distancing themselves, others are fighting with each other. Democrats in Congress are finally fighting back with force. They're not backing down from threats anymore. They're reminding everyone that Trump is not a king. He's not above the law. And anyone who follows his illegal orders will have to answer for it someday. The military swore an oath to the Constitution, not to any one person. The courts are doing their job and ruling against him. The truth about his connections and his actions is slowly coming to light. Is this the beginning of the end? Nobody can say for sure. But one thing is clear. This was the worst week of Trump's presidency so far. And the way things are going, next week might be even worse. So what happens now? We watch. We pay attention. We don't let the media move on to the next shiny story. We keep focused on what matters. The accountability that's been delayed for too long might finally be arriving. And when it does, everyone who enabled this chaos will have to answer for their part in it. That's the story. That's where we are. And if you want to stay updated on what happens next, make sure you're subscribed.